Welcome to the Big Success Show. Today, how to get rich. Brought to you by financialfreedomtool.com. Plenty of money for life.
Big Success with the professor and Mary-Lynn.
Oh, Mary-Lynn, we're opening the vault. I think it's been a while since we cracked that vault open.
That sounds like a big, with two G's, vault right there.
It is a big vault. And we're digging in going back in time for some timeless classics. And one of them, the one we want to feature today, is by Napoleon Hill, who wrote the wonderful book, Think and Grow Rich. Hi, I'm George Kruger, a.k.a. The Professor.
And I'm Mary-Lynn. And our book today that we're talking about in the vault, Think and Grow Rich, teaches people the practical steps to high achievement and financial independence.
It's considered the personal finance book of personal finance books. I mean, this thing's been around since like the Great Depression. It's one of my favorite books because it's just a great book to kind of start realizing how your thoughts can actually create your fortune. And it's well, what more can we say? It's the gold star of books on wealth creation from way back when. And that's why we're in the vault.
That's why we're hanging out here in the big vault.
That's right.
And the author, Napoleon Hill, in this book, Think and Grow Rich, describes the 6 steps to turn your desires into gold. Whoa, there's gold in my desires.
That's right. He has a great way of saying that, doesn't it? That just kind of it kind of gives you the desire, right? To get more gold.
It gives me the desire to know what these 6 steps are.
Exactly right.
So let's go through them. First, determine exactly how much money you want to accumulate.
One of the things that we've learned over the years is this use of SMART goals. So specific, measurable, action-based, relevant, and timely, right? Something like that. And there's different words for the SMART, but you get the idea. Napoleon Hill's doing that here. And I think back then that was probably a pretty original concept, that we had to actually think about how much we want to achieve. Now, I think for a long time the standard was, I want to accumulate $1 million. Well, as a friend of mine sometimes says, oh, that's great for your grandpa. But what about you? Because, like with interest rates at like 1%, $1 million, 1% of that isn't very much money, like $10,000 a year. Okay, that's not much. Okay,
well, don't tell me that $1 million isn't much.
Well, but the point is, we need to shoot for a goal bigger than $1 million. That's not big enough. You got to, unless you want to live on $10,000 a year plus Social Security, you better be thinking about something that is in 7 figures. That's the important goal to learn here. We think that's rich. Well, we need to think and grow rich. Okay. So that's step number 1.
So don't limit your thinking.
Yes, think big and think about how much money you need to accumulate.
Okay. The second step in 6 steps to get rich, determine exactly what you will do to get this money.
Yeah, so, we always say a big success is life on your own terms, but when we talk about terms in a deal, you can set the terms or you can set the price, but you don't get to set the terms and the price. Well, what Napoleon Hill's telling us here is there's a price to pay if you're going to achieve what you want to achieve. So what are you willing to pay? What are you willing to do with this? And, over the years, Mary-Lynn, I've gotten used to asking people a question. People really say, I want to accomplish something. So let me ask you this. What are you willing to do to accomplish it? And a lot of times what you'll find is the one thing they're not willing to do is the one thing that success demands, whatever it may be. So you got to think about, what am I willing to do? What am I not willing to do? Obviously, you're not going to do anything unethical or immoral or anything like that or illegal. But the thing is, if I say, I want to accumulate $10 million, but I'm not willing to work, more than 4 hours a day. Well, that might be kind of tough. We got to be realistic with ourselves. And step number 2 helps us understand there is a price to pay for success.
Step number 3 in how to get rich is establish the date by which you will do this.
Yeah, see, we're back to those SMART goals again, aren't we? This is the timely part, the T part.
You hear this all the time. If you really want to achieve a goal, you have to know what it is that you want, and you have to know when you want to achieve it by.
Yeah, because if you think about it, a dream without a deadline, it's nothing more than a fantasy. If you put a deadline to it, and I can't speak for anybody in our audience, but I'll tell you about me. If I don't have a deadline, man, can I waste time? Man, can I goof off? Man, can I find all kinds of projects that don't really do what I need to be doing, right? But when I have a deadline in mind, I get going. I get motivated. I focus. Exactly right. And so the thing that Napoleon Hill's telling us here is, look, it's great to have that big sum of money. It's great to say the price you're going to pay, but by when are you going to achieve it? Set a goal, because that's going to keep your feet to the fire.
6 steps to riches, according to Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. Number 4 is create a definite plan to accumulate this money.
Yeah, so what Napoleon Hill's telling us here, we set this big old goal. We've elaborated on the price we're willing to pay to get it. We set the date when we're going to get it, okay? But the thing is, we're still missing something really important. We're missing the steps to get from where we are to where we want to be.
Right.
And that's that's really important stuff.
There's the start line, there's the finish line. Now, what do you do in between?
Exactly right. So the point is, if you have a big goal, we can't achieve big goals, but we can achieve a series of small goals. And that's exactly what Napoleon Hill is telling us. It's like we've discovered this anew in the last decade or so. Napoleon Hill was talking about it way back when. Deep in the vault.
All right. That leads to the 5th step, which is to write out a clear, concise goal statement.
This is just so simple. Put it in writing.
Right.
Put it in writing.
But writing a clear, concise statement is not as easy as it sounds.
It's not. It's very difficult, in fact. In fact, that's what we know. I can't tell you, Mary-Lynn, how many famous people have said something along the lines of the following. If I'd have known you wanted it shorter, I would have told you that you had to pay more for it, or you had to, you had to give me some other, guarantee, because I know it's going to take longer. Yes, this short, concise, clear, written goal is really important, this goal statement. It's really important if you're going to achieve what you want to achieve, because it's got to become part of you. And that's what this is doing. It's helping almost through the process of osmosis. It's kind of getting all over inside you.
Well, and it makes sense, because the 6th step to riches is to keep your goal statement at the top of your mind. So if it's short and concise, you can be repetitive. And repeating that goal over and over helps you be more likely to achieve it.
Yeah, and I think there's a number of ways to do this. People suggest keep it in your billfold. They suggest, like you may put it on your mirror.
Note on your mirror.
When you're shaving or putting on your makeup in the morning. I usually do both, but that's just me. When you didn't even laugh at that, Mary-Lynn. But when you're shaving, right before you go to bed is a good time, because, it kind of gets that in your mind to stew on overnight. But, wherever it may be, some people put it like right below the rearview mirror of their car. Make sure it doesn't block your sights, right? But the point is, get it in writing and then keep it in front of you every single day.
All right, so that's Napoleon Hill's 6 steps to getting rich. Now, how are you going to do this? How are you going to start creating your plan? Coming up, we'll share a tool that will help you turn your desires into gold. Right after this word from our sponsor, financialfreedomtool.com. Plenty of money for life.
Do you stress over money? Who doesn't? Let the Financial Freedom Tool ease your mind by pinpointing opportunities to improve your financial picture. Take control so you feel empowered to move ahead with confidence. Learn more at financialfreedomtool.com.
Today, we've stepped inside the big vault to talk about a book that is timeless, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, where he discusses 6 steps to riches. Now, we've gone over those 6 steps. Now, how can you take this information and put it into action for you?
Yeah, and just so you know, we've got a picture of this on the website, as well as a link to the page where you can create your own.
Right, the tool that the professor is about to use, and then the numbers that he's using. All of this stuff is going to be provided for you, and we'll tell you how to get to that in just a little bit. But so that way you could just kind of listen and let this sink in.
Yeah, and you can use something, just a simple spreadsheet. We'll do the same thing, but calculator.net actually has a calculator for this very thing. And so it's real simple. You enter the future value. These are finance terms now. So we're getting high finance, Mary-Lynn.
Okay.
You enter the future value. In this case, we decided, let's just say we want to accumulate $1 million. Okay?
So future value means what I'm hoping to achieve, what my ultimate goal is.
It's the finance geeks term for exactly what you just said. Yes, right. Your goal,
Obviously, I'm not a finance geek, but you teach entrepreneurial finance.
Yes.
You're a finance geek.
So the next one is in.
Okay.
So in the finance world, we call it in. Number of periods. In other words, what this is saying is how much time. What's the deadline? All right. So doesn't this sound like Napoleon Hill? So, but the point is here, I've typed in 360. That's 30 years times 12 months in a year. There's 360 periods. Okay. So we got 360 periods. The third thing is, how much are we starting with? Well, I just assume we started with 0. Okay. And then fourth, it's your interest. How much interest per year are you going to pay? In this case, I just assumed 8% a year is what I said interest you're going to pay. Interest you're going to earn, or return you're going to earn. And in this case, I assumed we could earn 8% by investing in a stock index mutual fund, which is basically something that just tracks the markets. That's all we're trying to do. Okay. And by the way, if you think that's unsophisticated, most finance professors I know have most of the money that they have in the stock market invested in an index mutual fund. Okay. So I just used 8%. We got to divide that by 12 because we're doing everything in months here. That works out to 0.67% per month. Then guess what? I hit calculate, and it calculates for me. We need $666.54. So let's just say $667 to achieve $1 million in 30 years.
So that's how much you need to invest each month.
Exactly right. So the question is, obvious, right?
Do you have $667 each month to invest?
Exactly.
And what if the answer is no?
Well, then my next suggestion would be to read this book. It's called The Richest Man in Babylon. And this is, by the way, we're going deep in the vault again when we talk about this one.
We're hanging out in this vault big time today. But yeah, The Richest Man in Babylon, timeless financial advice through a set of parables that explain the basics of money. So it's a little storybook.
It's a storybook. And I love this book. This is my favorite personal finance book. Highly recommend it. You can read this thing in an afternoon. I mean, it's quick reading, but it is so chock full of advice.
And this would help you if you don't have the amount of money that you need to be able to accumulate your ultimate goal. This little storybook is going to help you do that. The
mentor in the story helps the student understand where to get the money. Okay, where to find that money, right? So that's what to do if you don't have $667 a month. Okay, now. If you read The Richest Man in Babylon and you find out that you still don't have $667 a month, then what can you do to get it?
Yeah. What can you do? Obviously change your big goal, right? Reduce the amount of money.
That's one option, but let's say you don't want to give up your goal. Well, then we got to find a way to cut our outflows. That's one way. Right. Now, I say that first, cut outflows. Why? Because it's the quickest and most controllable way to increase the amount of money you can invest for your future. It's simply the quickest. So
find ways to cut. Obviously, if you find ways to add to your income, that helps too. But
that's the other one. Right. So what if you can pick up a few extra bucks? What could you do? Could you get a part-time job? Could you start a business on the side maybe? Could you,
of course,
whatever
that costs
it may be.
money. So
it may, but there's businesses you can start with no money. Right.
That's
how many
true.
people do you know who started a business on the side? The bottom line is this. Successful people do what unsuccessful people don't. It sounds so simple. It actually even sounds trite. I mean, it just sounds like it could be meaningless. But you know what? It's true.
It is.
That's the key thing to understand. It's true. And if you want it badly enough, you're going to find a way to reach big success.
Today's show notes has a link to the calculator that the professor used to come up with those numbers that you can use to create your plan. Also, a graphic that shows you the numbers that he inputted. There's also a free cheat sheet that we have for you where you can fill in your 6 steps to get rich. So just follow the link in your show notes to get all of that. We thank you so much for listening today. Until next time,
here's to your big success.
Find Big Success at BIGG Success.com.